even allow them to be selling by them own. Like some parents will tell you, maybe you have got enough, that is why you are not sending it. Let them concentrate on boys. There is a hidden epidemic that we don't know. So we should take care of our boys.
Thank you for a very brilliant lecture. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Hello?
Madam, looking at the statistics you have provided, it seems it's so alarming that I don't know what this country is going to head for. If you say for 2014 to 2018, there were 941 cases, and there were 208 for adults and 733 for children. That's amounting to 88%. What can we do as a nation to stop this trend? Is it possible?
Yes, it's very possible. It's very possible. Like I said, it's a multi-sectoral approach. It's very possible when our political leaders are committed. It's very possible when our community leaders are committed, when our religious leaders are committed, when our youths are committed, women and girls, everybody working together across the board. This is very possible. We know it's a very difficult task, but we can turn it around. And turning it around, yes, requires resources, but part of it doesn't require resources. It's just about commitment. Imagine everybody at your household level talking about the issue of sexual violence, working hard on both girls and boys. And if you achieve that in your household, somebody else achieve, eventually that is what translates into the communities. Whatever is in the community starts at the household level. So people need to understand that we need to work hard at the household level. And that is what translates at the schools. Though we are saying the school also need to work very hard. Because normally at the education department, sometimes a teacher pregnated a child, the teacher is transferred. It's transferring the problem to another school. What kind of remedy is that? That teacher should be sacked. That's what I am saying. I'm sorry if I'm harsh, but that's my honest opinion. If you transfer that teacher, you are transferring a trouble to another school. In fact, it's high time, let me recommend this, it's high time for Minister of Justice to make sure that they have data on all those who are who are perpetrators of sexual violence. It's a red flag. People need to know them, so that when they go to communities, we watch them. Why are we hiding these people? It's high time we make a data on those people, especially those who have committed once and twice. It's a red flag that they cannot even live near our schools where children are. It's high time we do that. That's my personal opinion anyway. Maybe I'm going too much. But Imam, this is very possible. What it requires is we work together. If we work together, we can change this. And I'm saying we need to work together. We cannot go until this goes out of hand. And I want the university to tell us what is happening. Does it mean that elders are not reporting? Or are we living in a pedophile society so that we know how we go about our life?
I greet you. We are pleased with your statement so far. You have spoken well. This should have been more expanded. And those that you are pleading for assistance, those that suffered as a result, that is something that has to be. We thank you so much for that.
Madam, you have the floor now for your final statement.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Chairperson, Trrc, someone I have worked with. on this very issue, sexual and gender-based violence, and I know her capabilities. And if you are speaking in front of such a woman, you need to choose your words. I recognize you. I recognize all the commissioners, the deputy lead councillor and all the councillors, the Trrc staff, those present, those working behind the scene, the media personnel present here, the security, and the larger audience that are listening outside this hall. I say good afternoon to all of you. I want to thank the Trrc for giving me this opportunity to come here and discuss about this very fundamental issue that affects all of us directly or indirectly. And I also want to seize this opportunity to thank my parents very well for giving me the opportunity at my time to even allow me to go to school up to primary 6. That's a big blessing, because that is where everything started. I thank them for that. I thank my husband, who has been my lifelong partner throughout a very long journey. As young as I was, by the way, I'm also, I don't call myself a victim. Me, I'm so strong that I can be a victim. I'm also a survivor of child marriage, but I maintain my marriage, and my husband is my life partner up to today. I thank him for all the support. I know he's listening to Trrc, he's a big fan. I thank my children. I thank my children. All this work I was doing, I was a wife, I was a mother, I was somebody else's child. So I carry all that burden on my head. With the support of very strong men and women, I am able to achieve what I have achieved. So I want to thank all of them, my siblings, and everybody else. I also want to thank the generous directors that I work with, starting from Health, Gambia Women Finance, GFPA, coming to NAS for all the support. NAS, they require special thanks. When I was working at the network, when the network have no staff, I'm the only person doing the program, doing everything. I was a full-time employee of the National Aid Secretariat, and they allow me to be going up and down. Though one thing I maintain, a discipline of going to work on time, finish my tasks on time, and report on time. I've never been found wanting on that in my career. And I thank God, the director gave me that space, that I was able to do that together with this advocacy work. And my husband allowed me, because I spend a lot of time during the night doing the work of network, because that's the time I have for network at that time. And I want to thank those departments that helped me to make network, those brilliant, intelligent men who work with me, people like Njundu Drame at CPA, people like Madi Jebate representing Flyer, Kajali Sonko at the time Women's Bureau, Falu Sow, who is the current national coordinator of network at the time Social Welfare, Police Crime Unit Ansu Sonko, Police Gender and Child Welfare Unit CD Sedikan, Matilda Johnson of YWCA. They all work so hard when we initially start the network. I want to thank the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Finland, through Ratas, for having confidence in us and fund us consecutively for 6 years. And that is both admin, program costs, for us to make the network to stand up. I want to thank them. I want to reflect on Action Aid for being a member, but not just a member, a committed member, giving us technical advice, both program, finance, and helping us to grow. As young as the network is, we can boast that we are one of the strongest CSOs. We are audited every year from 2010 to date. We have robust financial systems. We have good programs. We have gained recognition from international donors like Amplify Change. They give us funding of 347,000 euros. By the time we finish for 2 years, they give us another 2 years. We are just about to finish. They are willing to renew again. That shows how committed the staff that are working at the network. They are very committed. The entire membership of network. Network is a membership-led organization. Our executive are very strong executive. They work so hard. I want to thank each and every one of them. Apart from thanking, I still want to recommend to the Trrc in their reparation for the victims of sexual violence that your reparation should not only focus on the how do you call it, on the psychotherapy counseling, but look at the economic bit of these people. Economic empowerment help women. It reduces the vulnerability of women undergoing certain violence. Please be a good example. By the way, I think last week or week before last, one verdict was done, and I read it yesterday at the network office. This perpetrator is sentenced to 15 years. Those are the kind of things we want Justice Department to do. 15 years. By the time he comes out, he will say never again. And those who are close to him, I hope they will know the slogan of never again. That's what we want. Perpetrators need to be punished. That's my wish. So on that note, I want to thank everybody, and that is my end of my statement. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Madam Mboge. Thank you. Yes, okay.
Just a very quick procedural matter, Madam Chair. I referred to the data provided by Madam Barrow, and I would like to admit it as evidence as Exhibit 0089. So it is the statistics that she provided and referred to.
It's granted.
Thank you.
Still 2:30. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
waat leen ku nekk sa tur ak sa santa di leen jaajëfal si seetaan bi ngeen a seetaan Gambian Talents TV tey nag toogal leen fii nii si Gambian Talents Forum ma indil leen koo xam ne ni dafa creative dafa create loo xam ne ni man maa ko soog a gis si Gambia bi cause musuma gis ku defar lu mel nii lu creative nii ba pare amul fii rek waaye daf ko bëgg a def pour Gambia bi yëpp jël ko rek dem teg ko nag si bunti Banjul sooy dugg si Banjul rek gis ko parce que fii na ne nag Banjul capital city la te city bi nag den ko war a teg yaa den ko war a toppatoo moom nag muy def faatam moom tamit di si bay waaram daal pour rek gis développement ni city bi tey nag ma toog fii ab ndaw muy uyoo si Samba Janxa si Gambian Talents Forum bi nag laa toog ak moom dama ko bàyyi rek mu nuyu wante ak askan bi ngeen xool lu creative lu rafet lu mu defar fas yéene ko jagleel rek Banjul di suñu capital city nuyu naa la dalal ak jàmm si Gambian Talents Forum.
na ngeen def nuyu naa leen yéen ñëpp maa ngi leen di fay suma mbokk Gambien yi ak yéen ñu nekk si télé bi yëpp maa ngi leen di fay lii nag man maa ko créé nu ma ko waxee toujours rek maa ko def.
Ladies and gentlemen, this one's for you.
Hello, namaste, assalamu alaikum. Join me every Sunday from the hour of 11 p.m. Enjoy the evergreen melodious songs of Bollywood, as well as the hottest and the latest information in the world of Bollywood.
the different types of gender-based violence, the patterns of the gender-based violence. We talked a lot about the factors that contribute to sexual violence, as the impact of sexual violence on
places where victims or survivors of gender-based violence report. But sometimes the community do call the staff directly and case, and then we can direct
the mechanisms, and generally just how sexual violence is addressed in Gambia. What are some of the challenges that we have? I'd like to start first with the misconceptions about sexual violence, because that has an impact in terms of the reporting, but also in terms of how those cases are addressed. You mentioned some earlier, but I would like you to elaborate more on these misconceptions.
The misconception about gender-based violence in general, particularly sexual violence, is that many people believe that those who are violated sexually is because they are not cultured. Some believe that because of their dress code, that is why they are being violated. Some also believe that adult women cannot be sexually violated. Some also believe that parents cannot sexually violate their children, or brothers cannot sexually violate their sisters. Some also believe in that. So all these are misconceptions about sexual violence in the Gambia.
And what about sexual violence as it concerns men and boys? Is that also a misconception, or is that something that's understood properly?
Yes, sexual violence, the misconception about men and boys is that, in fact, in our socialization system, men are believed to be strong. They are believed even not to cry. In a Mandinka proverb where they will say, Keo kadadoman. So they are believed not to cry, they are strong. They are believed to be tight-lipped. They should not talk about things. They go to work come jigen, go to fatiwa. So that is how they are socialized. As a result, men, even if they are sexually violated, the society, the culture have prepared them not to talk about it. So they will hardly talk about it. But we know whether they complain or they don't complain, whether they report. Yes, some of them are victims of sexual violation. They are. But because of the way they are cultured, the way society see them, they don't talk about it. And that even make it more difficult and more interesting in the sight of men, because the little opportunity that women have to discuss about it, they don't have. Even for them to open up to even a friend will be difficult for them. It means they are a lesser man. That is the concept they have. So therefore, boys who are sexually violated, it will be difficult for even their parents to hold their hands and go and report. Even if one of them will be strong to come back to their parents and say, hey, there are issues that are happening. So how do they occur? Somebody is violating someone's right, but because they are tight-lipped, they will not talk about it. And that is the most difficult part when it comes to boys and men.
You mentioned MSM. For those who don't understand, what does that mean? Like what do you understand by that?
It's men having sex with men. That is MSM.
You mentioned that generally it would be difficult for men to report sexual violence because of our society and the culture and a lot of the misconceptions. Have you come across any examples in Gambia where you have received this kind of information, not through reporting, but for instance through public sensitization? And if yes, what are some of the ways in which that story would be conveyed to you?
I cannot specifically mention a case. Unfortunately, I know that in 2015, Network recorded 15 cases of young boys, but it didn't go further to say whether that was physical violence or both sexual and physical violence. I was unable to dig into the report to bring that out. But I know 2015, 15 cases of young boys are part of our report. But I didn't have adequate time to follow up and know exactly what type of cases those ones are. But sometimes from a programmatic perspective, like the programmers who go out to do this sensitization, especially when they bring young men together, these are some of the things that you will hear from the program perspective, that young boys say that they are also part of sexual violence, like they will bring it out there. The way we have the sugar daddy syndrome, we also have the sugar mommy syndrome, that these women sometimes use that power dynamic to use young boys and sexually violate them. These are things that we will hear, though they will not come and report the case. But these are things that we will hear.
You mentioned that one of the misconceptions is that people who are not cultured are the ones who are raped. What do you mean by that?
What I mean by people who are not cultured, for some people, the reason why you are raped contributes to your own attitude. That is how some people see it. Your attitude in terms of the way you go about your life, the places that you go, the activities that you are involved. Those are the kind of things that people will think that you are not cultured. Maybe you are not a good person. Your family didn't prepare you well. Those are the things that I'm trying to say, because that is the cultural aspect. Maybe the person's appearance, the way you see it, and what that person is actually maybe totally different. Because the reason why I said nobody can guarantee that you will not be sexually violated. Imagine if you look at some very good girls, that sometimes they are trafficked. And when they are trafficked, what happened to them? That is not what they are. They find themselves in that situation. So those are some of the things that people think if you are not cultured.
So mainly based on a person's appearance, how they carry themselves, maybe the places they go to.
And the things that they do. Like some people will feel that, for example, let's say athletics. You know, girls athletic, the way they dress, the things, most of the time they are with young men. For example, if that person is raped, how would the society view it? They will blame her for why should you go into that trade? The way you will not be properly dressed, you will always be moving with boys. And people like, for example, if a girl decided to be a model and that person reported that she's raped, those are the kind of things. Because people think that, like I say, in the socialization, the kind of roles that girls should do, that's what they believe. So if you change from one role to another, then whatever happened, they blame you for what happened to you. Believe adults that are raped.
And of course, that's a misconception.
Yes, I know one case whereby this adult woman going to the farm and was raped by these cattle, those who normally graze the cattle. And she reported it, and we were told even the cattle grazers were brought together for her to identify, which she did. But who take her seriously? They think it was she arranged for it. That's how they will see it, because she's an adult, because she's not a child. So many people believe those kind of things. If you're an adult, you report rape, you must be very strong to push your case further.
You also mentioned the issue of people believing that parents or siblings, let's say brothers or even sisters, can't rape their own siblings or children. Why have you come across cases like that?
Yes, that is what people believe. For example, in our settlements, the way we stay, sometimes people allow their boys to be big enough to be with the girls in the same room, especially if they are of the same parents. They don't think about that can happen between two of them. They are the same father, or they are even the same mother and father. They are sleeping, they continue to sleep in the same room. It could be many reasons why that happened. Poverty could be one of them. For example, if the father cannot afford, you can only afford room and parlor. You don't have a choice. So you put your children in the parlor, they sleep there. These children who are not taught about anything about their body, they don't know anything. With this internet, access to social media, looking at many things, they want to explore, they want to know. Why is this happening? Why are adults doing this? They want to understand. They began to do that to each other. And people will not believe a biological father will rape her own daughter. But these are cases that are reported to the network. Incest. Incest are cases that we see. Sometimes we see them when they are pregnant already. Sometimes you see them when it is done. And this is an area that network have been working. I know we remember a particular child was supported by the network because it's the breadwinner. He abused her and she reported. Imagine what that means. She was separated from him. And network continued to pay that person's school fees until the person went to the university. Network supported their high school. Yes, it happens. So incest, let nobody fool you. It happens in this country. Incest happens.
And the problem with a lot of these misconceptions is it actually impacts on the way that these cases are handled. So handled, you've given some examples of going to a police station and reporting, and just the belief that, well, not believing the victim for many reasons based on misconceptions. So it's really important about what role that has to play in how we're then able to investigate and address sexual violence. But I want to address something in more detail that you mentioned earlier, which is the culture of silence. You mentioned a few issues in the beginning about because of the way the society is, there's certain conversations that people don't have, certain taboos. But if we can just focus more on the culture of silence and the different forms in which it is manifested in Gambia, I think that would be very helpful.
Yeah, the culture of silence in the Gambia is something that we are socialized. Because if something happens, particularly sexual violence, people don't want to discuss about it. And because they don't want to discuss about it, it's difficult for the case to be reported. And that has resulted to serious underreporting of the issues of sexual violence. Even if you hear the rumors, sometimes it will not go anywhere. It will be put under the carpet for the fact that either the parents or either the child is not comfortable for this case to be discussed. Violence all over encourages the issue of gender-based violence to continue. Even the other forms of gender-based violence, for example, physical violence, the culture of silence. Even if a woman is battered by her husband or whatever, the first person you want to report to maybe is your mother or maybe it's an elderly woman. But most of the time the response you will receive is, go and bear. Don't you know that we all went through this? What is wrong with you? For your husband to batter you, is there anything wrong with that? It means violence is being condoned, because that's what you are told. Do you know how many times my husband battered me? I know the multiple indicator cluster survey, commonly called MIX. It came out clearly. Women themselves say that their husband can batter.
Who may not come out and report because of fear of either stigmatization or fear of not being believed or fear of being blamed. But then you also have the family on top of that. So if you do have a victim who manages to overcome all those barriers,